Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Called It. This is our post event. I guess the day after, thoughts the day after an event show. My name is Eddie Law. I'm your host. This is presented by crossroadsmma.com. Yeah, last night's event, UFC Orlando, or what everyone's calling UFC on Fox 17. Whoever numbers these, I don't know why they're still numbering them. I kind of gave up on that a while ago, but we saw a dominant performance, needless to say, in the main event. A couple upsets. I don't know why Nate Diaz over Michael Johnson was an upset. I never thought it was, or why he was an underdog. I never thought he was an underdog, but whatever. We got two newcomers coming in on late notice, winning their fights. Overall, pretty solid card. So, yeah, my bad. I'm getting all the tweets now. What's up, Andy? I wanted to make sure I put my phone on silent. All right. So let's start off with the first fight of the night on UFC Fight Pass prelims. Francis Gano, what could you say, annihilated Luis Enrique by uppercut. I mean, that thing was monster. Landed it perfectly. You saw, Enrique's jaw just go to one side. It was like the other side, whatever. It came out. There's no way that dude didn't break his jaw or anything. So he didn't get up for a while. I figured he didn't get up in the cage for quite a while. And, of course, what would I heard? I think it was Hawani that put out there, said that he had to be taken out of the building in a stretcher. Damn. Okay. I hope he's okay, and I hope he gets back all right. But Gano is a very interesting prospect now. A heavyweight in a heavyweight division that's been historically, or at least recently in the recent history, pretty damn light. You get another guy that's a monster. So needs to say, as long as he passes all the drug tests, we should be looking at a very interesting prospect at heavyweight. After that, we see Vicente Luque choking out Haider Hassan so badly via Anaconda choking the first round, but choked him out so badly. Hassan went out. Looked like he was still awake, but he was gone. He was out. And then started kind of like, his body started twitching and everything, which is one of the scary things you can see in any kind of sporting event. But he's okay. He got up. He was fine. But needs to say a setback for Mr. Hassan, who lost, I believe he lost his first real fight in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight losing streak against Kamaru Usman and Vicente Luque. So he's got a lot of figuring out to do. But Luque is a solid guy. Jiu-jitsu is legit. And if you mess up and keep yourself in danger with a guy like him, Anaconda choke. Okay, those are not easy to get in the UFC. So that was a legit submission win there. After that, Kamaru Usman gets the decision over Leon Edwards. Can't hate on Leon Edwards at all. No matter what he did. That guy's a striker, right, by nature? He finished his camp over at AKA to try and get some wrestling experience, try to get some takedown defense, some wrestling defense in order to take on a legit wrestler in Usman. Usman, that's kind of all he's got is wrestling. So, Usman basically wrestled him to death. Leon Edwards, to his credit, every time he got taken down, he wasn't really looking for a way to get up or for the refs to stand him up. He was looking for openings. He was looking for submissions. So, legit. I'm a fan of Leon Edwards. I'm hoping he comes back stronger and works on that ground game for sure. Or they give him a striker to fight next. So, meanwhile, Kamaru Usman said that he gave himself like a D- or some ridiculous thing for that performance. Not the most entertaining, but a win's a win. So good for him. 170 pounds, and the guy looks like he makes it all right as far as 170 goes. All right, after that, we get a note. I believe this is FS1. Yeah, this is FS1 prelims. A no contest between Cole Miller and Jim Ehlers. A nasty eye poke. It was bad when you saw it, and everyone was like, it wasn't that bad. No, it was pretty bad. All right, when Jim Ehlers' finger goes into Cole Miller's eye, and then Ehlers' body pushed away. That push was on the eyeball. That was messed up. So, doctor, Herb Dean, professional, says, hey, you got plenty of time. Doctor looks at the eye. Cole Miller says, hey, I got nothing. I can't open it. Like, I'm not going to be able to open it. And so they called the fight. We ended off as a no contest. Jim Ehlers was upset. Cole Miller probably more upset. They're friends. I believe they train in the same place. Let me make sure here. But I believe they both train over in Orlando, in Florida. Let me make sure. Yeah, I think they're both ATT guys. I'm not mistaken. Or they were training partners before. I don't know. All right. After that, we see Nick Lentz get a split decision against Danny Castillo. Danny Castillo, can we say his problem is split decisions? That he doesn't finish fights. He used to be able to finish fights. Now he just doesn't do it. Not really sure why. Nick Lentz trying to look like a you know, like a kind of like a weirdo, retarded, like Conor McGregor with the haircut and the beard and all that, and then talking shit about BJ Penn after the fight, which bothered me. I was kind of annoyed by it, but whatever. He gets a split decision over Danny Castillo. As soon as I heard split, I thought it was look. I thought Nick Lentz won the fight anyway, but I thought there was a chance Castillo would have won it because it was split. And when they nodded for Nick Lentz, Danny Castillo kind of had this like, of course it's happened to me again. Okay, but nothing happens to you. That was kind of you, dude. You need to finish fights. All right, a couple tweets here. Andrew Reed saying great heavyweight prospect. Just a shame he's French. He's from France. Oh, he lives in France. He's from Cameroon. So are we calling him French? Although it seems like that's all he speaks. So it's pretty funny. Joe Rogan goes up. He goes, "Oh, you need a translator? Oh, my bad. Do we have somebody? Do we have somebody?" And then the translator honestly needed a translator. That dude, his English is kind of garbage. I could understand a lot of what he's saying. So yeah, whatever. But I don't know if he's French for sure. But I think Cameroon, French, that's probably the same thing. Anyway, Mike Drive tweeting in. Once he said he couldn't open it, it was a wrap. Yeah, once Cole Miller said couldn't open his eye at all, that was it. That was game time. You know, Rogan said it a few times. Everyone, Rogan was like, "Yeah, this fight's over. This fight's over." And it sucks to see. I hate seeing that stuff. I really do. It's you never want to see a fight stop because of a doctor. You always want to see a fight end because of an actual legit stoppage. And to have a doctor have to stop it because of an eye poke, it sucks. So when are we gonna see a change in the gloves or some kind of something to stop eye pokes? Who knows? I'll tell you what. DC better start working on moving his eyes and doing this shit or something like that, and something like right down the middle, because John Jones is coming, bitch. Anyway, moving on. The next fight after the Nick Lentz Castillo fight, Tamden McCrory, the Barn Cat, returns to the UFC after a little time off. Dude, triangle choke on Josh Saman. I'm happy. I can't stand Josh. If you guys watch The Ultimate Fighter, when Josh was on there, dude, this whole watch this bullshit and start doing the double punch things, I'm like, yeah, that guy's a jackass. So I don't mind seeing him lose. I'm kind of happy he lost, and I think he lost in front of his people. Yeah, he trains in Florida, so not upset at that at all. You know, douchebag. Anyway, but nice to see McCrory come back with a win, and he's one of those dudes that's like. I don't know. I want to call him the UFC's Eminem, but I would call him like white dude that thinks he was black, but he's like that. You know, he's been doing it for so long, no one really cares. Like he's like, oh, I'm an OG. I'm an OG. So I thought that was pretty funny. And of course, he dedicated his fight and his win to a friend of his that died because of, I'm assuming, drug overdose, but I don't know the story behind that, so I can't speak to too much. All right, after that, we get a newcomer to the UFC, to the women's bantamweight division, Valentina Shevchenko taking on Sarah Kaufman, and Valentina on 12 days' notice outclasses Sarah Kaufman. Sarah Kaufman tried to get takedowns, couldn't do it. Valentina took her down. Sarah Kaufman tried to pressure her on the side on the cage, couldn't do it. Valentina pressured her on the cage. Sarah Kaufman tried to turn her around, tried to turn her around on the cage. Tried it many times, was successful maybe once, maybe. She had a bunch of knees. Valentina is legit. She's solid. She's not a bad looking chick at all. And I'm excited to see some new blood at 135 for the women's division. You know, we haven't talked about anybody new there for a while, so it's nice. Oh, other than Holly Holm, obviously, but it's nice to see more strikers get into the UFC's women's division 135. Yeah. Anyway, after that we see this is probably my third favorite fight of the night. Okay, Nate Marquardt. I want to say he was getting dominated, but he was getting peppered pretty. He's getting peppered all right. Everyone was just sitting back like this. Like literally, people were like this watching the fight because they didn't want to see CB Dog. They didn't want to see Nate Marquardt get knocked out with CB Dogway. Instead, CB Dogway makes one mistake, eats a punch, gets knocked out with a perfect counter. It was beautiful, beautiful punch. CB Dogway goes to sleep. Nate Marquardt kind of taps him on the face, wants to make the ref do something, and then holds back, which he's a nice guy, so he does that. And but it still doesn't make me want to see Nate Marquardt continue fighting. Like I wish, I mean, he's 36 years old. I kind of wish he would have been like, all right, let's go out on a win or something. But I'm pretty sure he's going to stick around and try to fight again. So it is what it is. And of course, people were tweeting about the little, I call it a recruitment job after the fight, saying, if you repent now, Jesus will save you, and all this shit. I'm like, yeah. All right, Nate, get off the mic. Just go ahead and go. Get out. Get the fuck out the cage, dude. Like, they didn't make me mad. It was just, come on. Anyway, yeah, Mike Jarvis agreeing with me. Good for him, not retire. Yeah, that's kind of what I hope, just to save his health, because I like Nate. If I could confidently say, or anyone could confidently say, we could continue fighting for a few more years, take a bunch of punishment, and be fine, I wouldn't say shit. But that dude's gotten smashed pretty hard before, so he's one of those guys that you just like, and you don't want to see messed up and hurt and unable to have a good life after he retires. Fight Book MMA on YouTube saying Nate is coming back. Yeah, I believe so as well. I think he's coming back. So again, I just for the sake of the person, of the guy, I wish he wouldn't. But as far as his athletics go, hey, he's got a knockout punch. And then Andy tweeting over, poor CB, with a smile on his face. Yeah, poor CB indeed. All right, after that, we get to see Fat Charles Oliveira taking a Miles Jury. I say fat because he's missed weight 3 times at 145. Came in at 150.4. He thought it was a scale. It wasn't. It was him. And he guillotines Miles Jury. I thought, first of all, when he took Miles Jury's back, I was like, we're fine, we're good. Miles Jury's gonna get out of this and move on, right? And get the fight back on. Well, Miles Jury put his hand in his armpit and he got guillotined. That was sad. Not really sad, but I was upset because I like 2 seconds later, I had said he'll be fine, he'll get out. Andrew Reid, of course, didn't miss a beat and called me on it. But I was talking about the rear naked choke. I wasn't talking about the guillotine, dude. So it's all good. All right. But Charles Oliveira then calling out Conor McGregor after the fight. By the way, who didn't call out McGregor in this one? Even the ladies called out Conor McGregor in this one. They didn't even know. They didn't even know they called him out. They basically did. Seems like everyone did. And Charles Oliveira called McGregor out. My first thing was, how about making weight, dude? First, dude. Let's see if you can make 145 pounds first. Then let's talk about McGregor after like 3 or 4 more wins at 145, where you actually make weight. I believe this should be a demotion. But, if I'm Dana White, I'd be like, hey, get your ass to 155, dude. You missed it 3 times. That's, like I said a million times already, missing weight is not, first of all, besides being super unprofessional and just stupid, that's half the job right there is making weight. It's disrespectful to your opponent, and honestly, it's just dumb. So, if you can't make 145, dude, move up. That's all there is. And I have a feeling Dana White's going to be like, yeah, dude, you got to go up. So we'll find out. We'll find out sometime in the next couple months, probably, whether he's going to have to move up or not. All right. After that, we get another newcomer, Carolina. I can't say her last name. Carolina, cute as fuck is what I'm going to call her. She's a good-looking girl, honestly. I was just like, please don't get too beat up. She's too pretty to get beat up. So, but anyway, Carolina gets in there on, I believe, 8 days notice. I think is what she got. Wins a decision over Randa Marcos, and she was legit tough. She took that first round for sure. The second round was more Randa, and then Carolina took the third round. It was kind of it. So 2 newcomers to the women's divisions, and they win. And they came on in late replacement fights, like a week notice. So one more note on Valentina Shevchenko. She actually has beaten Joanna Champion, I think 3 times in Muay Thai. So that should be fun. And mind you, she's 135. She might even be too small for 135 pounds. She's 5'5". At 135, I think she can make 115. But late notice, she's not going to try and cut that down for sure. Plus, you take whatever fight they give you. There's been plenty of guys that come in and fight at a weight higher than theirs just to get into the UFC. Mike Jarvis says that's twice Jury got a reality check. Yeah, some guys, man, just they just need to keep trying different things before they try to take on tougher opponents. And I don't know who Miles Jury is going to take on next. Who knows? As far as Charles Oliveira goes, again, take your ass to lightweight, dude. You can't make 145. You proved it 3 times. All right. What I'm going to call, I want to say fight. I don't know what fight of the night was. I'm going to find the bonuses in a minute here. But my fight of the night, Nate Diaz taking on Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson, for some reason, was like a pretty big favorite. Nate Diaz was a huge underdog. And Nate Diaz comes in and basically, beats him down. Nate uses his range pretty good. He ate a few leg kicks, probably too many for my liking. He started checking them. That was surprising. The Diaz brothers don't normally check kicks or anything. They just eat the shots. And Nate Diaz was in there, putting up good combinations, putting up pace on Michael Johnson. He had the reach. He had pretty good reach advantage on Michael Johnson, honestly. and getting Michael Johnson to fight his fight. You know what I mean? The way you beat a Diaz is you either run or you put pressure or you sit on him. You know what I mean? But what Michael Johnson needed to do is put pressure and put Nate on the cage and cause damage on the cage. And he couldn't do it. Michael Johnson got sucked into that fight, into that stand-up brawl. Nate Diaz talking and pointing at him, laughing, pissing Michael Johnson off. Michael Johnson being the hothead that he is, fed into it. So that's kind of what happened. He was forced to play Nate Diaz's game, and he couldn't do it. Andy saying the Diaz fight was fight of the night. Fuck yeah, it was. So that's good. I'm glad Diaz got a bonus. He deserved it. And then after the fight, coach Nate Diaz calls out Conor McGregor, and that's the way you call out Conor McGregor. First of all, in the U.S., the whole thing was censored because God forbid, or anybody forbid, that that parents have to go, yeah, kids, you shouldn't say that bad word because they might actually have to be parents for once. I've always hated that they censor anything on TV. It's stupid, but whatever, Nate Diaz went in like a freaking profanity-laced tirade about how Conor McGregor stole all his hard work and all sorts of stuff. The videos are everywhere on Twitter. Apparently, the U.S. is the only ones that got it censored. So, everybody else got it, so it's all over Twitter. So just look it up on Twitter and you can find it. Skip the websites that embedded that shit and said, oh, you can watch it here. No, just go on Twitter. Go on Twitter. I'm looking at you, Raimondi, some bitch. Anyway, so Nate Diaz getting that, calling him out, and the post-fight press conference saying that he's a money fight, and he is honestly, look, that's a money fight, right? That's a pretty big money fight. The ramp up to that fight would be ridiculous, right? And maybe two guys that would stand up against each other, that would be legit as hell. So, while I hope they make it, and Nate Diaz told Ariel Helwani that it's on, it's not on. They're thinking about it, but it's not on. No way. So. I hope they make it at some point soon before either guy gets older or loses a step or anything, and because that would just be a hilarious ramp up to the fight, and I think it'll be a legit fight. I don't think it'd be any kind of pushover fight. So Mike Drop saying Nate got into his head big time. Oh yeah, he was in Michael Johnson's brain. Fight Book MMA hooking me up on YouTube saying performance of the night was Rafael dos Anjos and Vicente Luque. Yep, dos Anjos was just throbbing ass whooping of Cowboy, and Vicente Luque with the Anaconda choke, fight of the night, Nate Diaz and Michael Johnson. Appreciate that, man. So there you go. There's your bonuses. Some people were saying on Twitter, were like, oh, what about Oliveira? He missed weight. You don't get a bonus for missing weight. You just don't. And I want to say that Miles Jury said, no, go ahead and keep your 20%. I think that's what I've heard someone on Twitter that's what happened. I really hope not. I hope Miles Jury got his 20%. But I heard that he let Oliveira keep it, which is whack, in my opinion. So, yeah. All right, moving on here to the next fight in the co-main event of the evening. Alistair Overeem knocks out Junior Dos Santos. A lot of talking back and forth whether it was early stoppage or it was good stoppage. I was of the mindset of the thought that it was an early stoppage. I didn't like it at all at first. And then on Periscope this morning, Mike brought up a point that Andy made yesterday that Alistair Overeem would have landed those ground and pound after he hurt Junior and knocked him down, that he would have finished the fight more than likely. Those punches, those ground and pounds that he was throwing down, they would have landed a lot harder if the ref hadn't bumped into him, basically, right? So thinking of it that way, probably a good stoppage. I'm just gonna go good stoppage because those punches were coming. Overeem hits hard, and he's heavy puncher. What happened? What next for Overeem? Won a new contract from somebody. He's a free agent. Whether the UFC is going to pay him or not, who knows? They already paid him in the first contract like crazy, and they didn't really get those money's worth if you think about it. And two, there's plenty of suitors for Overeem. Now Bellator's got that money. They're looking for big names. Overeem's a big name. Ryzen will pay anybody at this point, literally anybody. And I don't think World Series anybody else really is in there. That's like a serious one. One championships will always be in there. But I think that if he signs back at the UFC, you're looking at more than likely his next fight being against a contender for the number one contender spot and the title shot against the winner, whoever it is, Kane or Verdum. As far as JDS goes, man, that's he's starting to become a little bit inconsistent after going on a long fight streak when he first got into the UFC. A long fight streak when he got in the UFC. He was undefeated in the UFC until he ran into Kane in the second title fight. But win over Mark Hunt, 2 losses to Kane. So it's a loss to Kane, win over Mark Hunt, loss to Kane, a win over Stipe, and a decision win in a fight that honestly could have gone to Stipe, in my opinion. I was there, so I was watching it. It just, yep. I thought Stipe won that fight, but JD is taking it. It's like whatever. And now I lost to Overeem. What's next for him? I hope half the break that he took this time around, but a CT scan, a visit to a doctor, a brain surgeon, or something to go check out, make sure he's not so messed up that's not gonna be, that any more action in the cage is gonna mess him up more. Because again, he's a former champion. He's honestly one of the guys that you could almost say he's one of the guys that helped build the heavyweight division to what it is now, or what it was when it was a little more exciting in the last couple of years. But Overeem wins, JDS loses, and someone's always got to lose a fight. Unless you poke an eye out, then it's just a no contest. So, all right, on to the main event here. Hopper deciders RDA, the champion, defending against Donald Cowboy Cerrone. And the saddest thing I've ever seen, not ever, but the saddest thing I saw in this event was Donald Cerrone not being able to pull the trigger. After all the countdown shows and all the interviews that he did, talking about his grandma and all that, it really sucked to see him not even get a chance to fight, basically. Props to RDA. Didn't give him a chance to pull the trigger. I said after the fight on Twitter, I was like, Cowboy did what he does all the time. Start slow, never pull the trigger. RDA didn't give him a chance. RDA literally just blitzed him immediately. Head kicks, punches. As soon as we heard him with a head kick, he came in with punches. They were perfect combinations. People arguing about that stoppage as well. RDA was on his back and he was landing shots, but Cerrone had his arms up. It's up to the ref, and the ref was I believe it was Herb Dean. Yeah, Herb Dean was the ref, and so a lot of people are saying it was early. I don't think it was. I think had that fight gone on, it might have been a nastier knockout later in the round. In fact, because there was still like 4 minutes left in the round. So sucks to see it, man. But RDA remains champion. Mike Jarvis says replace Kane with Overeem, better story rematch. I like Kane a lot. As much as I like Kane, I'd be all right with that. Overeem against Verdum instead. Last time Verdum and Overeem fought, Verdum tried to do the butt scoop. Overeem got pissed and just told him to stand up and ended up beating him. And then Andrew Reed did call both main fights. He did call Overeem. He did call RDA when I called JDS and Cowboy. I put it out there. Andrew Reed wins that one. So what happens now? Of course, RDA talking to McGregor. If you're coming up, I'll welcome you over, basically. So no matter what happened in this event, Conor McGregor was all over it. And he was nowhere near Orlando. That dude's at home, Christmas shopping and shit. Hanging out with family, his girlfriend and whatnot. He's supposed to buy his girlfriend a car or something, I don't know. But it's incredible how much one man can, similar to Ronda, by the way, but how much one man can just basically take over the entire UFC. So what's the thought process? RDA. McGregor moves up, supposedly gets the immediate title shot against the winner. If I'm talking about whether MMA is fair, first of all, everybody knows at this point, right? MMA is not fair, right? The UFC doesn't put on the fair matches or fights. The UFC doesn't go, okay, well, this makes sense because this guy won this many fights and he's on a fight streak and all that shit. Very rarely does that happen. Because usually there's a money fight. Now, what I mean by a money fight's a fight that's going to sell pay-per-views. That's what the UFC is looking for. They're trying to make money. So the question becomes, is McGregor versus RDA money fight? I say no. In my opinion, I say no. RDA is only defended his belt once. Mind you, McGregor hasn't defended not even once. But McGregor's a huge name right now. He's popular. You want to put him against somebody that's gonna you want to put his name against somebody else's another name, right? And so what I think happens is I don't think he fights RDA. I think RDA fights. I'd love to see RDA against Tony Ferguson. I think that'd be a great fight. I think we end up seeing McGregor versus Frankie Edgar. I would love to see McGregor against Nate Diaz, but I don't think McGregor's going to move up for anything other than a title shot. So as much as I would love to see Nate versus McGregor, I don't think it's going to happen unless Nate somehow gets a title shot, beats RDA, and is a title holder. And last time we saw RDA get in there, and again, Nate was leaning on his lead foot the entire fight again. RDA just chopped him down with leg kicks. So plus is now more aggressive RDA would probably help. Actually, an aggressive RDA might actually be help Diaz in a fight like that. And McGregor does well against guys that are aggressive and just come at him. Counter puncher. Yeah, for example, Jose Aldo going in there like the way he did and getting knocked out in the counterpunch. So it's an interesting thing to talk about. It's who knows what's going to happen. Again, I argue McGregor against Frankie Edgar. John Kavanaugh, who's McGregor's head coach, tweeting out, he did the whole Mr. Burns from Simpsons with the whole excellent meme, which I thought was funny as hell. But an aggressive RDA would be a great fight for McGregor. As much as everyone wants to say that RDA would beat McGregor, I think it'd be a much tougher fight than people think of it. So, let's see. Yeah. So that's kind of it here. So before we jump off here, this was the last UFC event for 2015. Let's look ahead of here to the next year on January 2nd. So we get a week off basically. January 2nd. Hopefully everyone's recovered from their New Year's hangovers and shit, because we get a crazy fight. The card overall is not great. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but the main event is legit. Robbie Lawler against Carlos Condit for the title. See a couple fights on here that are actually pretty good. Dustin Poirier against Joe Duffy on Fight Pass. I don't know why it's on Fight Pass. I think it should be on main card. Okay, I'll explain why in a minute. Another fight that's on here is going to be good. April Trujillo coming back against Tony Sims. Then we get a 115 fight. Justine Kish against Nina Ansaroff. I don't know about that fight. And then Michael McDonald against Masanori Kanehara. Diego Brandao against Brian Ortega. I would replace that with Poirier Duffy. Because if Poirier, if Duffy beats Poirier, you build a name, and here come the calls from McGregor against Duffy. So, and honestly, I'm picking Duffy over Poirier. I really am. Anyway, who was it else? Lawrence Larkin is against Albert Tumanov. Then Kelvin Gastelum against Cal Noki, I'm assuming. The co-main event, Stipe against Andre. You guys saw Andre against Frank Mir, right? Okay. I'm not saying it's gonna be the same fight. I'm saying it's possible it could be the same fight. But I'm thinking Stipe is gonna win that, some kind of grind TK, not even TKO, some kind of decision. Honestly, the only fight worth watching in the thing besides the Poirier Duffy fight to me is Robbie Lawler against Carlos Condit. That's gonna be a war for sure. That's one of the few guaranteed wars that you could even talk about. So, yeah. And then after that, I think the next weekend, no, I think we get another week off. And then January 17th is a Sunday. Why do they make these Sunday cards? What's going on January 16th? Is it maybe it's college playoffs? Maybe? I don't know. College football playoffs. I'm not sure. I have to check on that. We get a baller free card. This card is sick, and it's free. Okay. UFC early Fight Pass, the early prelims are good on their own. Latifi's back. Either Latifi against Sean O'Connell is going to be a throwdown, in my opinion. Tim Bush against Ed Herman, okay. But Paul Felder against Darren Cruikshank is going to be fun as hell to watch. Then in the FS1 prelims, Charles Rose against Jimmy Hetz. Marbek Taisumov against Chris Wade. Patrick Cote against Ben Saunders, I think I'm going to be watching for sure. And then Ross Pearson against Francis Trinaldo. That'll be legit. But the main card is baller. Dennis Bermudez is back against Maximo Blanco. Someone's getting knocked the fuck out. Travis Brown against Matt Mitrione. Someone's getting knocked the fuck out. Especially if someone has Edmund in their corner. Mm-hmm. I'm kidding. I'm picking Brown on that one. Meathead's a little harder guy to pick, in my opinion. The return of Anthony Pettis against Eddie Alvarez. That's going to be legit. And, of course, the main event, Dominic Cruz against TJ Dillashaw. It killed my brain yesterday how many times Goldberg kept saying, no, he's fighting for the belt that he never lost in the octagon. And he said it at least a million times in the whole broadcast. But it's true. Dominic Cruz never lost the belt. You got to take it away. So because he was hurt. So it's going to be a 6-6 fight. That's going to be an awesome card for sure. The card after that one, UFC Fight Night Johnson versus Bader from New Jersey on January 30th. That one's got some decent fights on it. They just added Sage Northcutt against Andrew Holberg to that card. They got Barnett versus Rothwell on a huge breaking news thing they put on FS1, which is stupid. Bruce Leroy's back against Macio Follin. What are the fights? Olivier Abe-Messier taking on Joaquim Silva. Tarek Safdie is back against Jake Ellenberger, which is going to be a legit fight. And, of course, Anthony Rumble Johnson is going to snuff Ryan Bader hard. I think, anyway. I don't know. I'm not a Bader fan, never been. But I've given him his props when he deserves it. And then UFC 196 out of Vegas, Cain Velasquez against Fabricio Verdum in the rematch. Johnny Hendricks against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Nobody knows about this fight for some reason. Like, they had to ask Dana White and Dave Scholler a bunch of times who's Johnny Hendricks fighting next. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. By the way, Thompson's in his mid-30s, almost late 30s. Should be Stephen Wonderman Thompson. He's not a young guy anymore. Roy Nelson against Jared Rosholt, which I think is a sneaky, decent fight. And then Derek Lewis is on that card. Josh Bergman, who annoys me, against KJ Noon. So, here come the eye pokes again. And then Mike Pyle, who somehow continues to just do enough to stay in the UFC. He's solid. I'm not gonna lie, he's solid against Sean Spencer, who I like. So I don't know. Of course, St. Preux versus Rafael Cavalcante just got added to that. So of course, all the cards again, they're just finishing forming all those cards, and no fights on these yet, but they've been announced. A fight night in Pittsburgh on Sunday, February 21st. The very next weekend on Saturday, a fight night in London, England. Andy, there you go. Brisbane gets one on March 19th, and UFC 200, of course, we've known about for a while, on Saturday, July 9th. So yeah, what can you say about UFC Orlando? Feel real bad for Cowboy. Feel good for RDA. Happy to see Nate Diaz back winning, and we need a Diaz in MMA. We always need a Diaz, right? It's needed. So that's gonna do it. It's been, what can I say, fellas? It's been a fun year. This is the last call it for this year. We'll do another, obviously I'll do a call it after UFC 195, Condit versus Lawler. But appreciate all you guys have been watching these post day after shows and all that I do on my own. This next week, no shows. Well, I can't say no shows. We're planning Keyboard Warriors, and it's gonna be a different type of Keyboard Warriors, sort of. So if it goes down the way we intended to, it should be a lot of fun. Tune into that. It should be on Tuesday. I will put out notices as soon as we jot down a day and time, but I'm pretty sure Tuesday is gonna be a night. No In the Pocket next week. We got, for the Spanish speakers, and so that was gonna have this tonight. For people that like to listen to me talk, I guess, or don't mind it too much, or at least maybe you're laughing at me. I got 2 Breaking the Law with Eddie Laws today. One goes down in about an hour and a half, and then the other one's tonight. I will put out the information on that one as well. But that's just an all sports show. So if you're just a fan of MMA, you don't want to hear about football, basketball, or anything else, But that show's about everything. All right, fellas. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate everyone coming on here. Shout out to Mike, Fightbook MMA. I think his name's Robert. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Andrew Reed. Appreciate you watching, man. And I will catch you guys later today on my 2 shows. 3 more shows I got today. So I'll catch you guys later today, hopefully. See ya.